that's what we all do all the time. Meaning, there is something in the depth of the human being, nearly every healthy human being, that knows the truth. You know what the truth is. Whether you're struggling with another human being, try to figure out what you need to do. Sometimes the best you can do is grieve. Sometimes the best you can do is say to yourself, I just have to be present. Maybe you don't know exactly what to do, but we oftentimes evade that truth. I spoke about this in detail this morning. We evade that truth by saying, I'll become angry, I'm going to be depressed, I'll be afraid, I'll resent, I'll feel shame, I'll feel guilt. I mean, some distraction from a truth within us that is within us. I mean, how do we know that? Because if you do enough spiritual work, there's a moment when you actually recognize the truth and you say to yourself, you've all had this experience, you say to yourself, you say, that's what it was. Now I know what the truth is. I got to the deeper thing. Well, just try to imagine, it's always there. The truth is always there. We just don't see it because there's something in the ego mind that wants to do something else. That's Balak's belief in the room filled with silver and gold. He says, I know how to get you out of the truth. I'll put something here more important than the truth. Now, for some folks in this room, it's going to be money. But for some folks in this room, it's going to be fame, reputation. Another person's going to be power. Another person is going to be something negative. You say, I'd rather be afraid than know the truth. For example, a person can say, I'd rather have fear than know the awful truth that I can take it. You know, some stoic sense that I don't need to be afraid because I'm tough enough to endure this. For some people, fear is better. It's an odd thing. But for some people, the stoic understanding that you're bigger than this, right, is unbearable for people. You know, because what it requires is courage. What it requires is steadfastness, and fear is an easy way to evade what I'll call a stoic life of courage. So for some of us, the room filled with gold are positive things in the ego realm, and for others of us, the room filled with gold is some other negative distraction that takes us away from that moment of truth. So Bilam's theory is, I know how to make you say what I want you to say. I'll just tempt you, and we're all tempted. Bilam says, it doesn't matter what you offer me, I can only speak the truth. So you have this both comical and profoundly insightful narrative here where Bilam takes him up to a hillside. He says, okay, curse the people. Bilam goes into a trance and blesses the people. And Balak says, what are you doing? He says, I asked you to curse. If you can't curse, at least don't say anything. And Bilam says, once I get into the trance, the truth comes out. He says, okay, he's like, the iPhone, if you change you change the position, you get the signal. So he says, okay, we're going to move to a different hill. Maybe move to a different hill, you'll get a better signal, right? So he moves them over to another hill, right? And he says, okay, he builds the altar, slaughters the cows, and Bilam goes into his trance and blesses them again. And Balak says, look, this is not going well at all. We're going to try this one more time. And he goes to the next one, and Bilam suddenly has this moment of recognition. He says, you know what? I'm not going to go into the trance. I'm not going to try to channel down. Maybe this time, my ego will distort the truth. He said this time, he says, and now these are the words of Bilam. It's a remarkable moment psychologically, because when he says, these are the words of Bilam, he finally says to himself something like, forget about Balak. Forget about the room filled with gold. Forget about everything else. I'm here. And I can see something. And it says, these are the words of Balak, shetum enayim. It's a strange word if you know Hebrew, and Hebrew speakers in the room. We just don't know what shetum enayim means. Okay, some say shetum enayim, meaning of whole eyes, tum meaning wholeness. Some say shetum meaning of closed eyes, meaning if you close your outer eye, you can see with your inner eye. And in rabbinic Hebrew, shatam has a sense of something being opened up. We don't know what it means. It might mean wholeness. It might mean closed to the outer world, alert to the inner world. It might mean someone of clear vision. But in any case, he says, I'm going to speak as the man, shetum enayim. And then he says, what does he say? What are his words? Okay. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkanotecha Yisrael. He says, what I'm seeing is beautiful. Now, it's a stunning moment because once he gets out of his own way, he apprehends something utterly beautiful. And that moment of beauty is actually an achievement of piercing through Balak's pressure to see something else and a recognition of, I might say, his own spiritual core in which there is a truth available that just needed to be spoken. Now, the greatest thing about all this for me, and I'll end here, is that as all of you who know the service well at all know, this is the beginning words of our service. Every Jewish service begins with, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkanotecha Yisrael. Not many people know that we're quoting a non-Jewish prophet when we say that. And the reason we're quoting Bil'am is because, in a way, that stands for me what it means to enter into a prayer service, which is you're entering into a moment, whether you use a prayer book or not, you're entering into a moment where there's something in your heart says, at least here, I'll speak the truth. Maybe out there I can't. Maybe out there are too many pressures, things get in the way. But at least in this room, at this time, with these people, maybe all by myself, I will speak the truth. And then if one can find one's way to speaking of that truth, then God willing, over time, will develop the ability to live that truth.